So it'll just be Maureen and then Bijunge till others join. Okay, so we are doing revision mode 3, review mode, right? Yeah. So this for you, Maureen. You have a large number of log files that will be archived in AWS for a long time and should have a retrieval time of 12 hours or less. Which service is the most cost-effective storage class for this purpose? So log files that will be archived in AWS for a long time and should have a retrieval time or less.
Amazon S3 Glacier Deep Archives.
That's
The Deep Archives where C.
You say.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? Okay. No thoughts, so let's check and see. That's correct. So Amazon S3 Glacier Deep Archive is the lowest cost storage option, supports long-term retention and digital preservation for data that will be accessed once and twice a year. It is designed that retains sets of 7 to 10 years on. Yeah. Okay. We have the instant retrieval in milliseconds. Glacier flexible retrieval, long archive with retrieval of minutes to hours. Deep archive, long archive data with retrieval of hours. So 12 hours is what we're looking for. So Glacier S3 Deep Archive. Okay. The next question is for you. Where can you track the costs you incurred so far in your AWS account with a graphical visualization?
AWS Cost Explorer.
Okay. So cost you incurred so from that. Okay, Cost Explorer is supported. So let's check and see then. Okay, so that's correct. Cost Explorer is an easy-to-use interface that lets you visualize, understand, and manage an AWS usage over time. Okay. We know that usage report is for granular. If you're looking for granular details, budgets is for thresholds. Okay. Thank you, Manuel. This is for you. A customer wants to run their application in the cloud through EC2 instances. Their code is currently stored in GitHub. Which tool could they use to launch their code onto EC2 instances? So their code is currently stored in GitHub. So in AWS, which tool can you use to launch their code in EC2 instances? So they need to launch their code in EC2 instances. What can they use? So you are trying to launch the code in EC2 instances. Any different view?
I think it's code deploy.
Okay. You are trying to launch your instances. Why you want to break? Do you have an idea? I know you're not ready with.
I was thinking of code commit.
Okay. No, that's okay. So remember, their code is currently stored in GitHub, but the question is saying that which tool they use to launch. The key thing is to launch, right? Okay, so I have different answers. Since it's all 1-1, I'll just leave it there. But let's see what is correct. Yeah. So it's actually could deploy. So that's why I keep saying that you want to launch code onto EC2. The launch there should be for deploy. Code commit is an alternate form of GitHub. So in AWS, if you are looking for a way to store code, you can look for code commit. So this one here, but the question here is talking about launching. This is just mentioned. Kinesis is instead for real-time streaming. So, because this is just data streaming service in AWS, it does not deploy applications. So if you are streaming data and you want to, especially real-time data, CloudFormation is infrastructure as code. Code commit, as I say, is a fully managed source control service similar to GitHub-based repositories. So this is, yeah, this was just mentioned, but it was not, the question was not asking for that. Okay, so deploy is a deployment service that automates application deployments to EC2 instances, on-premises, serverless Lambda functions, and ECS. All right, so that's fine. Oh, where's Silas? Did we lost Silas? Okay, Manu, then this for you again. Which of these services, okay, let's join us. Which of the following services allows you to purchase reserved instances? Select 2. So which services below allows you to purchase reserved instances?
A and D.
A and D.
I'm not sure of it, but let's just see.
Yeah. But which service gives us always the opportunity to purchase reserved instances? When do we start talking reserved instances?
B and C.
B and C.
B and C. B and C. Okay.
B and C. Okay. That's Edwin. We lost Silas. Okay, let's check and see since it's C11. So it's A and B. So Amazon RDS and Amazon ECS. That's where we always have reserved instances. So this is where you have reservation models. They are always on RDS, Elasticache, Amazon Redshift, and Amazon DynamoDB. That's where you have reserve options. I see something is shared on the mentioned here. Let me see. Okay, I think I just copy it. And I think it's important to remember this where reservation is fine. I'll put on chat. Can put that in bold. Okay, yeah. So you don't have an AWS patch on Elastic Beanstalk or EKS, yeah. Okay, welcome, Edwin. This is for you. Which service in AWS allows you to host your own Puppet enterprise infrastructure? So which service allows you to host your own? This is CloudFormation, Service Catalog, Elastic Beanstalk, or AWS OpsWorks?
AWS OpsWorks.
Okay. Any thought or different thought?
Yeah, I support. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. That's correct. So when we hear of OpsWorks, we should always think of what Chef and Puppet, right? It's either Chef or Puppet. Those are just configuration management tools. Puppet is a configuration management tool that provides managed instances of Puppet. Puppet is an automation platform. So you have Chef is a configuration management tool, and Puppet also is a configuration management tool that was used in normal traditional IT. But when you go to AWS and you're looking for something similar, you use AWS OpsWorks. Okay, that's good. So this is for you, Manya. What is the primary reason why you should be using an elastic load balancer for a website with high activity? So what would be the primary reason to use an elastic load balancer for a website with high activity?
I think what I can say is like it's B, but I'm not really sure whether it's B or C, because I think it also scales servers easily without manual intervention. Now, when they talk of primary B, let me just take B. Could be anything.
What about the others?
Yeah, I support B. Sorry, I left for I'm at work already, so it's a bit disturbing. I'm on and off.
Okay, good understanding. So be supported. Okay, let's check and see. Yeah, that's correct. So that's the primary reason why I have a load balancer. A load balancer always distributes traffic, but the load balancer doesn't help to scale it only distributes traffic. What makes you to scale your EC2s is an auto scaling group. You see, and I've put that here, luckily. So what will help you scale servers without manual intervention is the auto scaling group. So if you notice here, for automatic scaling of your computer capacity, you need another service called AWS auto scaling. But for distribution of the load, so your load comes here, it comes from the top, comes to the load balancer, and then it's distributed to the different EC2s. And then to increase the number of EC2s is the auto scaling group that will do that. Sorry, my voice is a bit not the best. Okay. So Silas, you answer this. You are tasked to simplify the migration of your database from your on-premise servers to AWS. Which service fits best for this purpose?
C, AWS Data Migration Service.
Might simplify the migration of your database from on-premises to AWS. Okay, any thought?
Supported. I support.
Okay, that's fine. Let's check and see. Yeah, that's what that service is all about, right? In case anyone is doubting, just put it on chat. So this for you, Edwin. A company is planning to deploy its high-frequency trading application, which will store constantly changing financial data in AWS and require low latency. Planning to deploy high-frequency trading application, which will store constantly changing financial data in AWS. Store change final. Which AWS services should you use? Select two. That's for you, Edwin.
I'll go for A and C. Sorry, A and B.
A and B.
D.
A and D. Now remember that constantly changing
No,
financial
A
data.
and E, sorry.
Okay. The key thing here is constantly changing financial data.
Yeah.
Any other thought?
Me, I'll go for A and B.
I'll go for
Silas?
A and C.
Okay, so we have had all of this. So let's see which one is correct. It's definitely C and D, C and E. Now, what is Amazon S3? What's the definition of Amazon S3?
S3 is just for a storage. It's just an Amazon storage.
A storage.
What kind of storage?
An object storage.
And object storage is what kind of data? Is it changing data or static data?
Static data.
Static data.
So if it's static, then can you store data that is constantly changing on it? Because it's storing constantly changing financial data, right?
Yeah.
If the data is
EF,
changing.
the financial data, EFS, sorry.
So immediately you see constantly changing financial data, you know, Amazon S3 is not going to be there. So A and D will immediately be off. So constantly changing data means it's not static data. Now the next thing is we're saying that they're deploying this, which will be changing constantly. Snowball falls under which kind of AWS services? It's used for which kind of service?
It's a device that can carry terabytes from one location to another. So,
and moving from one location to another is what? It's called what? Migration, right?
migration.
Yeah, but we're not doing migration here, right? It's just saying
No.
that we're planning to deploy high-frequency trading application, which will store constantly changing financial data in AWS and will require low latency access. Right, so we're not moving any data here from on-premises to AWS. We're not doing any migration activity, but we're just looking where we can store data and then access it with low latency. So in that mindset, if you were to eliminate S3, then you see that Snowball will go, and then you are just, yeah.
S3 Glacier will also be eliminated. So it will be an object storage that is frequently accessed.
Sorry?
No, I'm talking about the Amazon S3 Glacier. It will still be an object storage.
Yes, all of them. So all of S3 is eliminated, right? Amazon S3, Amazon S3, Glacier, Instant Retriever, all of them will be eliminated because they are all for static data. Snowball is already eliminated, so you then be left with just these two. But normally RDS is a database. You can store constantly changing data on it. EFS is block storage. You can still store data on it as well. So I think, yeah, that is the key thing. So the key point here, as I was pointing out, was constantly changing data and then trying to eliminate the obvious wrong answers. And if you just have that in mind and remember that we're not doing migration, you can just be left with the answers. At times you can read and you know exactly. One is that these are the only two services here that will tolerate constantly changing data. You could then just go for the answers, yeah, or you can eliminate as we have done. I don't know if there's a question or.
That's well understood this way.
They say here that although you can technically use S3 as a data storage for rapidly changing data, this entails high latency. Rapidly changing data. I don't know why they say so S3, but yeah. Okay. There'll be no EFS and RDS will go. All right, good. Who is answering? Maureen, I think. Which AWS support plan includes a concierge support team which will assist you with your billing and account inquiries and work with you to implement billing and account best practices? A concierge support team is found in which support plan? That's for you, Maureen. Maybe we lost her, maybe she's already at work.
The thing is, enterprise support. No, business, please.
Okay. Any different thoughts?
I go for business.
Business.
Okay. All right. Majority, but let's see what majority thinks. I think that's very wrong. Yeah.
Enterprise.
So just remember, concierge support is found only in enterprise. It's not in business, it's not in developer. It's found only on enterprise on RAM and on enterprise, yeah. So even though they put here and they say, yeah, which plan includes a concierge support team that will assist you in billing. So yeah, just remember that when you think of enterprise, you always see concierge support team. It's only found there. I mean, that's why we do the revision. So at least hopefully everyone try to remember that now. And also remember that for technical account manager, for enterprise, you have designated term. For enterprise on RAM, you have pool of technical account managers. Make sure you capture these two as well. But concierge is always found on enterprise, yeah. Okay. This for you, Bijan. Which of the following options allows customers to find, buy, and immediately start using the software and services that run on AWS?
AWS Marketplace.
Okay. Let's see with lost Maureen.
Marketplace.
Okay, marketplace. Let's try and see. So it's definitely marketplace. Right. Okay. So it doing this for you. The use of multi-threading in your Amazon S3 request through the multi-path upload API is an example of which AWS cloud best practice.
Decopy your components.
Okay. Any other thought? So maybe you need to remember what is multi-path upload. How does it work? Anyone knows how that works?
I think of D, allow for evolutionary architectures.
Okay, so different views. But who can explain how multi-path upload works? Because that could help give an idea of what the answer is. Okay, let's just leave the first one there and check. So it's think parallel. And why I was saying that it's important to know how multi-path work because with multi-path upload, immediately a file goes above 100 megabytes, right? What is that? I think it's 100 megabytes. And you want to upload it in S3. Okay, but let me explain it. I've not written that here. This is your original object. You want to upload in S3. So what happens is when you are using multi-path upload, this file is split into different components, delineated into parts, right? And then these parts are uploaded in parallel, but separately. And just before that, is supposed to be arrived, they are reassembled back into the full object. So if you know that the object is split into different parts and then it's being uploaded separately, you are in parallel also. And then when they are, because it's just small files that are being uploaded in parallel, but just before at the arrival part, they are all reassembled back to the final object. So that's why I was asking if anyone can explain what multi-path upload is, right? So it's actually you're doing things in parallel. Because here you're having objects being loaded in parallel. Yeah. Okay. Just remember that. This for you, Silas. The two of you now. Dash is AWS digital user engagement service that enables AWS customers to effectively communicate with their end users and measure user engagement across multiple channels, including email, text, SMS, and mobile push notifications. A service that enables customers to effectively communicate with their end users, as well as measure user engagement across multiple channels. What service is that? So what will be the good point? What are the key points if doubting? Okay, and then look at the answer. Or you want Edwin to try?
It's a bit confusing.
So remember, enables AWS customers to communicate with end users and measure user engagement across multiple channels.
I think it's the SNS mobile push. Simple notification service mobile push. Yeah, D.
All right, let's see. It's Pinpoint.
Yeah, I was thinking of Pinpoint, but I wasn't sure.
And that's an opportunity to know it, right? So it's just that service. It measures, the key point here is it measures user engagement across multiple channels.
Multiple channels.
Yes, email, SMS, and then mobile push notifications. The problem is SNS push. It's a feature of SNS that pushes notification message to mobile devices and desktops, but it has nothing to do with SMS, right? This is just a feature of Amazon SNS that will push notifications to mobile devices and desktops, which is not given, it won't do that. So when you think of Pinpoint, think of something like this. It will send SMS, push notifications, targeted emails, campaigns, and yeah, so do more. So Pinpoint is the correct one here. But I understand that there are many services, so let me just put this for you to review and show again what it is. It's on chat. Okay, so then this question is still for you, Edwin. In which of the following occasions should you use the Amazon SQS in your application system? Select two.
I'm not very sure, but I'll go for C.
B and C.
Yeah, I'll second that. I was having doubts between the B and C and D.
So you see, so B and C.
Yeah.
So remember, you should use SQS in your application system. Select two. Is SQS used for push notifications? No worries, let's check and see.
Wow.
What? Couple?
What will be used here? This is application requires the use of standard industry standard messaging protocols of message delivery.
SOC. Is it?
Sorry?
No, I was just thinking SOC.
Someone
Is it SOC? SOC.
It should be MQ, I think. Amazon MQ.
Okay.
So when you want industry standard messaging protocols, use Amazon MQ. So it's not this one. You don't automate task flows with SQS, but if you need to decouple certain parts of your system for better fault tolerance, always remember that SQS always it's for decoupling, right? The SNS and Amazon SQS is always for decoupling. And then if you require durable storage for your application events or messages, SQS is also a buffer, is used like a buffer zone. right? We have mentioned that like here, database can send information. We can still eliminate SNS here, and the information can just come to Amazon SQS. And then once Lambda is ready to receive it, then it will send. So the information will be storable here. And yeah. So when you think of SQS, think of it as a decoupling. It's used for decoupling as well as it's a durable storage. Yeah. Any question here? And when you see industry standard messaging protocols, things of Amazon MQ. Okay, so just continue to review SNS, SQS, MQ, and see where you can get to. I see Tim Lau has joined. How many of you are there? Mustafa?
Yes, Uncle Brown, we just joined now. We're not even in the house.
I see. So are you able to do anything to follow up?
Yes, we're able to follow up. I'm using actually the phone.
Okay. So I don't know. Let's try then. If you want to answer this. Which of the following AWS well-architected pillar discusses the use of the right computing resources to meet demand levels even as the demand changes and technologies evolve? So which pillar discusses the right use of computing resources to meet demand levels even as demand changes and technology evolves?
Performance and operational excellence.
Operational excellence, you say. Okay, any thought?
I was thinking performance efficiency.
Okay. One person says performance, operational. Can someone break?
Operational excellence.
All right, let's see. So everyone has some work. For those who are missing out, make sure that before you go to the exam, you know what all of the different pillars stand for. You know, what does performance efficiency stand for? These are the kind of questions you should likely see in the exam, where they will put, I'm trying to remember, where can I get that? You know, if you go to the, yes, if you go to the pillars and you read what is in each of them, I think it's just the introductory part. You don't even have to go far. You see what that is. Performance efficiency pillar includes the ability to use computing resources efficiently to meet system requirements and to maintain that efficiency as demand changes and technologies evolve. You see, that question is just speaking out this. The same you will see if you come to cost optimization. It's a pillar, includes the ability to run system to deliver business value at the lowest price point. Operational, on the other hand, operational excellence includes the ability to support development and run workloads effectively, gain insights into their operations, and to continuously improve supporting processes and procedures to deliver business value. So those are the key things you should go for each pillar and study them and make sure that you don't mix them. Not just knowing the pillars enough alone is not enough, but knowing what they are is very important. Yeah. Okay. I think this is a good question. I keep emphasizing that before anyone goes to the exam, you really know what the different things in the well-architected framework. Yeah, it's very important. Okay. Okay, let's see if another person from Team Nawe can answer. Which of the following AWS services are used to secure your VPC network? Select 2. So what can you use to secure your VPC network?
NACL network, NACL and security groups.
Okay. Any different view or support?
Yeah, I support her choice.
So we are securing VPC network. Okay, let's check and see. Yeah, interestingly, those are the only security in terms of network there. An application load balancer is a load balancer distributing traffic. IAM is for user identity. CloudFront is caching mechanism. So NAC security group will be at the EC2 instance. Remember, they say VPC network. So a security group falls inside a VPC, and NACL falls also inside a VPC. But NACL is for the subnet, and security group is for the instance. Okay. What service allows you to create alarms that notify you when EC2 CPU utilization thresholds are breached?
Is that for me?
Is still someone from Team Lawe? There are 4 of them. If someone can, if not, then we'll move ahead. So create alarms that notify you when EC2 CPU utilization thresholds are breached. The keyword there is thresholds are breached. Which service has something like that? Okay, maybe not. You want to try that, Silas?
It's CloudWatch.
Okay. Any different view or support? Okay, let's see what that is. And yes, correct, that's CloudWatch. So with CloudWatch, you can create alarms that will notify you when EC2 CPU utilization thresholds are breached. Yeah. So it's good to know what this service is all about. You can use CloudWatch to collect and track metrics, which are variables you can measure for your resources and applications. So like CPU, memory, all of those things. And then once it passes 80%, and then configure it that once it reaches that level, you get a message. Then the next question is for you, Edwin. Which service in AWS supports various business intelligence tools such as Apache Spark so that you may perform data transformation workloads and analytics at a low cost? Tools that support Apache Spark to perform data transformation workloads. Which AWS service would do that?
Amazon Redshift.
Okay. Any thought?
Amazon EMR.
Okay. So I have one here. What about the others?
I think there is an answer on the chat.
All right. Okay. Thank you. I think I was not looking at the chat. I see. People are sorry. I didn't notice many people using the chat. Okay. So 2 people say EMR. Tools that can support Apache Spark. That's the keyword. And that's correct. EMR supports Apache Spark.
What else?
Redshift is a data warehouse. And also data warehouse and can be used for business intelligence. But in this case, they are saying tools that can support this Apache Spark and perform data transformation workloads. So just keep that in mind. So I'm trying to look at the statement for Apache Spark. Nice. Okay. You see, EMR is a hosted Apache Hadoop framework, and Hadoop framework involve different tools. Apache Spark is one of them, and a couple of others that is used for data transformation. But these other ones don't support Apache Business Intelligence tools, right? And I want to. Okay, you see, EMR easily run and scale Apache Spark, Hive, Presto, and other big data workloads. That's what I wanted to point out. So when you think of EMR, you easily run and scale. I think this definition is much better. This is data platform for data processing and will support Apache Spark, Apache Hive, Presto. Those are still other tools as well. Right. Which of the following is a serverless compute service of AWS? I'll leave the questions now open.
AWS Lambda is serverless.
So AWS Lambda is serverless, okay.
Amazon Antenna.
Okay, what's they say in this question? They say a serverless compute service. So it's not so.
DynamoDB.
DynamoDB is serverless. But remember again, they say a serverless compute service. So let's shift from serverless and go to compute service. So among these services, which one is compute? Because Aurora is also serverless. You can have Aurora serverless. Antenna is serverless. And as Riley said, Dynamo is serverless. But we are looking for a serverless compute service.
Amazon Antenna.
Okay, you repeat that. What about the others? So I have one here, and one here. Okay. It's definitely Lambda. So Lambda is a serverless compute service. You remind me of, if you go back to the document, to the PDF file we had for all the services, and we listed compute. It's just that I don't have that document here. And we listed compute, we listed Lambda as a serverless compute and explained that, right? And with Lambda, you can run code virtually. Sorry?
No, I was just thinking aloud.
Yeah, DynamoDB is serverless, but DynamoDB is what? What kind of service is DynamoDB?
It's a database service, non-SQL.
Yes, it's a database service. It's not a compute service. Aurora is also, there's also a form of Aurora that is serverless, Antenna is used for interactive query service to analyze data in S3 using standard SQL. So Antenna is an interactive query service. So you can think of Antenna as compute. That's why I was saying that we go to compute here. It's serverless, but we are looking for a compute service. So they could ask the question tomorrow and it says serverless interactive query service. That makes it easy to analyze data in Amazon S3 using SQL. Then Antenna would be the right one. Okay, so I really hope everyone captured that. I was not expecting that you struggle with that, but maybe it's because we have not seen a lot of questions with Lambda, but that's always something to have out immediately. Okay, again, the question is open. What is the main benefit you receive when moving to serverless from non-serverless compute service? Yeah, so what's the benefit you get when you move from serverless? When you receive when moving from serverless from non-serverless compute service. So what do you always benefit? So that question goes to ask you, what does serverless actually mean? When we talk of serverless, what are we talking of?
The serverless remove management overhead so you can focus on your application instead.
Okay.
Yeah, go for D as well.
Okay.
Serverless lets the customer, it takes off the customer from taking care of the servers.
All right. That's correct. Serverless means you don't have to do anything with servers. AWS will be doing that. So it removes management overhead. So you focus on your applications instead. That's correct. Yeah. So I'll just put this also here on chat. For those who want to look into it. Wow, it's damn cool. 20. You are planning to create point-in-time backups of your Amazon EBS volumes. Which of the following are correct statements? Select two. Anyone?
A. Let's choose two. You can take EBS A and E.
A and E.
Yes.
I go with C and D.
C and D. Okay, remember you are
C and E, sorry. Comes to the D. Thank you.
I go for A and C.
A and C. Okay. Remember that you are doing point back in time backups of your Amazon EBS volumes. So you are backing your EBS volumes. What is AMI used for? you can equal AMI to what?
AMI is used for deploying EC2. Yeah.
Yeah, it's used as in EC2, but what kind of I don't want to software will you find in an AMI? What are we talking of? Operating system, right? Right. When you use an AMI, you always have. I always say that think of an AMI like when you have in normal life, you have a laptop and it doesn't have Windows running on it. Many people know Windows. Then you buy a CD to come and slot it and then use it to boot and then install Windows operating system. Well, most computers today come with operating systems, so maybe many of you have not have that opportunity to install. But before, you used to have a computer and then buy the disk to install the operating system separate. So, and that's why the same thing when you go to EC2, you always select the EC2, you select the instance type, then you select the EMI, and the EMI is always listed in different types of. You always start with selecting the EMI anyway. So it's like selecting if you are thinking in real life and before now, was like going to get a disk and then getting your instance type and then doing that. So it cannot be E here. It's just A and C. Yeah. So pointers comes with EBS snapshots, and the snapshots are always stored in S3. EBS backup volumes are not called AMIs. So yeah, I don't know if that did help. Why this one cannot be.
Yeah, I have. I totally understand now.
Right, and normally you don't need to stop the instances, yeah. So you can do that while the instance is running. Okay. Which AWS service lets you provision either Windows or Linux desktops in just a few minutes and scale easily to provide thousands of desktop to workers? We have seen this a couple of times. And you want to provision Windows or Linux desktops. What's that?
Sorry, Amazon Workspace.
Okay.
Amazon Workspaces.
Okay, good. So I see that supported. Which service should you learn alongside AWS Amazon Workspaces that I always talk about? Upstream, right? Because this one lets you provision Windows or Linux desktops in just a few minutes, 1,000 of desktops, but then Upstream will be a service that will be running your applications on the desktop environment. So this is what I mean. AWS Upstream, secure, reliable scales access to applications and non-persistent desktops from any location. The other key phrase. So Amazon Upstream is a fully managed non-persistent application and desktop streaming service that provides user instant access to their desktop applications from anywhere. I just always say, if you learn this one and that one together, since they're all talking about desktop, you can then maybe remember. So yeah, so workspaces, you can then also learn what upstream is, because at times they always put this question and they put upstream. I think I've seen situations like that. And then you need to know that upstream is actually streaming applications, yeah, and still for desktops. Which of the following is true about the enhanced technical support response times of the enterprise support plan? Select 2. So is that diagram, the table will have what is true about enhanced technical support response time for the enterprise plan. Select 2. Anyone can answer. Remember.
CD.
We are talking about enterprise support. First of all, enterprise is the most expensive. So if you are using the most expensive, what will you have?
We have A.
Sorry.
A and G.
Provide a
Okay, I see two people say A and G. So I think I don't see anything on chat. So let's go. So that's correct. Yeah, I've posted the wrong graph here. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, because this one don't have the times. So yes, when you are using the, if you go to the graph we had in the notes, you'll see that. Or if you come to the website, I'm sure you have that as well. Okay. Who is Okins what? I'm not sure that's for us. Yeah, anyway, I can't find out on the website immediately, but please check on the notes. It's just mastering that graph, right? Which IAM service is responsible for enforcing privileges and access controls in your AWS environment? So which service enforces privileges and access control?
IAM user.
IAM user.
The question is responsible for enforcing privileges and access control.
IAM policy.
Okay. A user is just an identity, but will a user enforce privileges and access controls? What's an IAM policy? Who can describe that in words? Because when you can describe it in words, then it helps you answer the question as well.
IAM policy, you write the privileges in which the user will have access in. Either, for example, in an S3 bucket, you can give an IAM user the privilege to read and not write, or to write and not delete. That's the work of a policy.
And it is, yes, that's correct. You are in the right direction. What kind of documents or what kind of language is it written?
JSON.
Yes. So when describing, always pick the names that are common. So IAM policy is a document in JSON format, right? That has permissions. When you talk of IAM policy, you're actually talking about permissions, and permissions is access control. So when you talk of policy, so this is an example of a policy. It's in JSON format. And when you talk of a policy, you always have permissions, either effect is allow, effect is deny, the action, then is it allow? If it is allow, is it allowed to read or is it allowed to write? Just as we explain, and then what resource. So that's why it's always important to explain what, to remember what each, when you look at something, you think of what it is. A user is like an identity, but yeah, it's used for authentication, but not for, because you always have authentication and authorization. IAM policy will help in authorization, which is still again access control. Group collection of users, role, temporary, you think of temporary credentials, where you have one AWS service trying to communicate with another. Okay, so just encouraging, always remember, try to explain the terms or try to look at them and reflect on what they are. That could help. What service acts as a firewall for your EC2 instances?
Security group.
I'm sure everyone is just quiet because they know that it's easy, not because they are doubting,
security
right?
group.
Okay, because again, what's always there to protect your EC2 instance? That's the correct one. Okay, 25, which of the following should you set up in order to connect your AWS VPC network to your local network through an IPsec tunnel? Which of the following should you set up in order to connect your AWS VPC network to your local network through an IPsec tunnel? Everyone is silent. So what's the key in your question? When you see IPsec tunnel, what comes to mind? Okay. That's too much silence.
Not gateway.
When you see an IPsec tunnel, it's not definitely not gateway. You are connecting your VPC network to your local network. So it's like to your on-premises network. That was done in networking.
See, but I don't know. IPsec tunnel. I don't know it, but for network, I think it's always a VPN gateway.
Okay.
The answer is C.
Okay, that's fine. Right, so yeah, so when you talk of a VPN always have an IPsec tunnel, right? Because that's just, if you go to the notes of when we define what was a VPN in networking, you see us talking about an IPsec tunnel, and IPsec is just the encrypted tunnel, right? So I mean, just make sure that you capture this when you have your on-premises and you have the cloud. And if you're a customer and you already have a data center and you move to AWS and you want to connect your cloud to the data center, one way is through the VPN. And in the VPN, you always have on the cloud a virtual private gateway on this side. VPN in your connector, sorry. A VPN gateway, so you have a virtual private cloud, which is a VPN gateway at this end. Then at the customer, you always have a customer gateway, which can be a router that supports IPN. Then you create a VPN tunnel. And this thing, they have to be connected. You're able to do this because you use this over the internet. VPN tunnel goes over the internet. The other thing, if you want to remember, is that it has bandwidth. I think the maximum bandwidth is about 1.2 gigahertz, right? So when you are looking for a simple connection that you can set in about 30 minutes, because you just need someone who can configure and you'll be able to connect your on-premises to your cloud. What is the other form to connect the cloud to the corporate data center? There's another service. What is it called? It still falls under the network model. We always talk about two ways. You use the internet, or where's the other one?
Direct connect.
Direct connect, that's correct, which is dedicated, right? And when you are looking for consistent network, it goes from about 10 gigahertz and above. I think it goes up to 100 gigabits, not gigahertz, gigabits, 10 gigabits. So so each time we hear VPN, it's definitely using IPsec tunnel, and that's for encryption. So remember all of that, please, or just check your notes again. Which of the following statement is true for AWS CloudTrail? So just ask yourself, what is CloudTrail? And then I should also ask, what is it true about it? If not, it means you need to still go and review CloudTrail a bit.
B.
Application errors, logs for your EC2 instances is CloudTrail. Okay, anyone? Any thoughts? What is CloudTrail? That's the first thing you should ask yourself.
I go for B.
So what is CloudTrail? As a service CloudTrail used for. All right, since now, let me leave B and then, but it seems all of you have to review what CloudTrail is then.
That it enables auditing?
Yes.
CloudTrail keeps track of who has done what on the account.
Yes, so it's on the account. CloudTrail don't works on the instance level. It doesn't work on application errors. CloudTrail is tracking account activity. Who does what and where. CloudTrail will figure out who created an EC2 instance. It will figure out who deleted an EC2 instance, but it will not be tracking application errors. That's something not for CloudTrail because that is different. So I would say please review AWS CloudTrail, and then if you are talking about application errors, CloudTrail does not capture errors in your EC2 instances. You may use CloudWatch logs for this purpose. So if you are looking for errors, you can use CloudWatch logs. So it will be opportunity to also revise CloudWatch logs and see. When you think of CloudWatch, you think of logging, right? And logging what application, mostly application errors as well. Okay, I want us to finish by 55. Your organization would like to boost productivity by improving business communication channels and customer service experience. Which of the following AWS applications will you suggest? Select two. So they want to boost productivity by improving business communication channels and customer service experience. Improve business communication channels and customer service experience. What applications will you suggest? So remember what is key in this question. If you know the services, in the worst case, you can do elimination. So rather than looking for what is correct, you can be thinking of what are the ones that are definitely not correct.
I know transfer family is not correct. Marketplace is not correct.
Okay.
So I'll go for workspaces and connect because I don't know Chime.
But what is workspaces?
Workspaces, that is great for creating desktops. Workspaces goes in line with desktops, so I'll go for Amazon Connect and Amazon Chime.
Yeah, because the question is improving business communication channels and customer service experience. So will workspaces do that? That's the thing. It's a desktop, it's for desktops, right? So, okay, one person says B and C. Any doubt or support? Every other person is afraid to make a choice. So let's see. So that's correct. So this is the same thing. If you go to the exam and you are very sure of the other services, the service that you don't know could be the answer. So that's the key thing, because the question here is you are boosting productivity by improving business communication channels and customer experience. Amazon Workspace is when you are just trying to create desktops, so Linux and operating it. The question is, does that boost productivity by improving business communication channels and customer experience? It doesn't, when you look at Amazon Workspaces, it doesn't say anything about this. It's just creating desktops, but they are just virtual. So rather than avoid Chime, because you've not seen it, that could be the answer. And you always, in the exam, you always have 2 or 3 questions where you are struggling to figure out, you have not seen that. But if you know the other ones very well and you are confident, you can then maybe say, maybe that's what it's talking about. But then it's an opportunity to know here what Chime is. So Chime is a high quality communication service that transforms online meetings with an easy to use app that works seamlessly across all your devices. The only way I can make you to remember Chime is think of Chime as AWS service that is similar to Zoom, right? Because with what we are using now, Zoom, we use this for meetings. Chime is the same thing. You can select schedule meetings. So that is answering the question of communication channels and customer experience, communications channel more. So with Amazon Chime, you can schedule and attend online meetings and video conferences, just like we do with the Zoom application here. Yeah, so that's the way I can say you should try to remember Chime as similar to Zoom, if that will help. Then Connect. It's easy to use omni-channel cloud contact center that helps companies provide superior customer service across voice, chat, and task at lower cost. Most companies used to use what they call call centers, where people will make for telephone calls, or they are setting up an office with for making telephone calls. It involves a lot of work, but now you can do that by AWS service, which is omni-channel. So it's like a cloud contact center. So that's another communication channel. Okay, we have 2 more questions. Which of the following is needed to retrieve a list of your EC2 instances using the AWS CLI? So if you need to retrieve a list of your EC2 instances using the AWS CLI, what will you need?
Access keys.
Okay. Any support?
Access keys.
All right. So it's access keys. Which of the following is true if you store your data in AWS? When you store your data in AWS, what is true?
A, you are the owner of the data you store in AWS.
Okay. Any thought? Support?
Yeah, supported.
All data is stored durably and redundantly in different AZs. That's not true. You have to be the one to choose that. Encryption is required for all data at rest and in transit. That's not true. You don't have to always use encryption, but you can choose to do that. AWS has the right to review any data store. Remember, we said this is not true. If not, yeah, AWS doesn't have, you are the owner of the data. Which service in AWS is best used for data analytics and data warehousing? Everyone should answer that one.
DynamoDB.
We are saying data analytics and data warehousing.
Amazon Redshift.
Amazon Redshift.
Oh,
Okay, so now you know you have to go and revise. Okay, so
no,
yeah,
it's because I mixed it up with the other question where I chose Redshift.
okay. So my advice there is just always wait a bit and read the key point, data analytics and data warehousing. Because yeah, I know, because if you are reading many questions, you may be tempted to start thinking of what you had in another question. But if you just, that's why I still emphasize on always just wait to look at what is key in the question, right? Because immediately you see data warehousing, just start knowing that's Redshift, because that's the definition of it. Redshift is a fully managed data warehouse. And then, yeah, it's used for business intelligence, so data analytics will go. So that's the tip for that. All right, I'll stop here and stop recording as well, because I see Kinyo is here.